I was 7 years old. I lived in the West Dundee area in Illinois. And my older sister, younger brother, my mom and dad. Well, we picked up as young children how concerned our parents were. The TV was glued to the news stations, and of course back then we had 2, 5, 7, 9, and 11, and that was it. But every channel had breaking news concerning the events of that time. The fear was a nuclear attack because we've seen pictures of it, of what went on during World War II with the missile testing in the Kwajalein Islands. Our plan was to, of course, survive. I lived 2 blocks from the school. Big plan was, do we stay in that building or we go home? My parents were making plans to put food and water in our crawl space. Made plans for first aid kits and water and food. We'd see news reports of missile bases. Pictures of the island of Cuba in relation to Florida, in relation to New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. How long it would take for a missile, medium range missile, to go ahead and hit. We had minutes, basically. A lot of today would be called saber rattling. We saw speeches from President Kennedy and Khrushchev. But they drew a line in the sand, and then Kennedy ordered a blockade involved with it. I can vividly remember the ships, and they would list how many hours or days they're out, and hours, and it was like a huge countdown until the ships got side by side, and all of a sudden the Russian ships went ahead and turned around. There were advertisements in the papers concerning bomb shelters. In my parents, I can remember them talking about, well, we're at Chicago. They're only 90 miles away. If they want to fire a missile, it's seconds, where we'd go ahead and hit the city and destroy everything within 35 miles out. I would go to my friend's house after school, and their TV would be on. Their parents would be sitting right in front of the television set. Remember, it's basically black and white back then, not color. And the screens weren't very large, and every house down the block was glued to this situation with the communists, Fidel Castro, and his army. Yeah, it was rough. We had drills in school called duck and cover, where they would go ahead and we'd practice getting underneath our desks or little cubby holes and cubicles in our class. A lot like our tornado drills that we have here today, they would put us in lower areas of the school. So I can remember going through those drills. It's an ordinary drill, and that was mandatory for us to go ahead and behave and do what was asked of us during this. They didn't get into any detail at all. We've got more, I believe, through the news than we ever received from our teachers. Well, you got to remember, through the 50s, we had the big Red Scare, McCarthyism, at that time. Okay, and we got news reports from that this rebel was taking over Cuba, which he actually did. And then there was some information concerning Russia's involvement of putting missiles in Cuba, which is 90 miles off Florida, in that it was in retaliation to our missiles that we asked Turkey to house. necessity items, sleeping bags, lanterns, propane gas, camping equipment went through the roof, okay, to go ahead and have a chance of potential survival. It was all over the news and where it would be hit, and if you had a chance to survive it, we would go to war with not only Cuba, but Russia itself. They'd have a countdown as to how far the ships were going to Cuba. Kennedy came in and said we're going to have a blockade. There were people saying that they should just attack Cuba itself and knock out the silos or the compounds in which where they had the so-called missiles in place. So we used our spy planes. That's all we had, spy planes, and these are images. And you got to remember, we had CIA was really, and the government was always cloak and dagger at that time, and it was Cold War stuff already. It was reactive, you know. We didn't really know after 7 years old as far as, hey, really the importance of the issue. The Kennedys didn't want to provoke anything, and they wanted to save face, and so did Khrushchev. And I can remember him pounding his fist on a podium and being a big tough guy. So we just talked to our parents about it, and they calm us down and say, hey, it'll work out. So go out and play. In my life, it brought reality that only a select few people can control my life within this country. Or I should say globally, not only here, but with Russia. It was always democracy against communism, okay? Good versus evil. So, and that's how we were raised with it, where our society is. So, capitalism versus communism. See my mom cry, my dad consoling her, listening to my older sister. She's a few years older than me, and to try to fathom all this, other than the drills at school, our drills at home. Why we got to go down to this, hated spiders and all that stuff. Get out of here, But you did what you were told. You didn't question it, and you just wanted some security, I would say.